So personally, I have a lot of interest in RAW formats. I just like the concept of RAW and the flexibility it gives in post. Is there any possibility that ProRes RAW will be available in
like before? There's always those possibilities, but there's a lot of complication that goes into that, so I'm just unsure if we'll ever be able to get there.
I know Blackmagic has a relationship with Apple. The fact that Apple shows off, Resolve in their presentations, I'm like, okay, I know there's something there. A lot of people there's a lot of hearsay around, what's going on there. And I think some people have it right, a lot of people have it wrong. So
it's like always, it's one of those things that becomes so complicated that the more you try to explain it, the more confusing it gets, and it just becomes one of those situations where it's easier just to say, like, look, as much as we might like to do that, it just becomes a hard situation to promise that we can.
Yeah, I think a lot of people were hoping to see a brand new camera introduced at NAB. Is there anything on the horizon?
Look, at the end of the day, we're always inventing, we're always making new products. I think one of the things that we see right now is we have a pretty full camera lineup that we're pretty happy with. We just introduced 2 studio cameras, and we haven't actually been able to go out and show people some of these new cameras for the last 3 years. So right now we feel like we're in a good point with our camera development. We also wanted to come to NAB and not be oversaturated with too many products. So there's definitely some things that we've got still cooking. So I'm not saying that we're not making any new cameras, because of course we're always making new cameras, but obviously things that we can't talk about until they're done. So everyone's going to have to stay tuned.
I know there's a limited number of companies that actually produce the sensors for these cameras. So I imagine a lot of the development kind of hinges around that. Does that limit or push forward the development of cameras?
It impacts everything just because of all things that are part supply, whether it's actually the sensor itself or just metalwork or plastic. So another one of those great challenges over the last couple of years, it doesn't make a lot of sense for us to go out and develop a whole new camera if I can only build 5 of them a month. So some things with supply chains are obviously getting better right now, and I expect that that's going to help with some of our other developments that might have been hung up over the last couple of years. But going forward, I'm sure we're going to see lots of more exciting products coming out of Blackmagic, so everyone's going to have to stay tuned.
The Ursa sensor, the 12K, that's kind of a unique one, isn't it? It has kind of some different technology going on inside of it.
It is, but it's not anything that's so cooked up by Blackmagic solely. So it's a thing that, when we're going out there, we're always talking to those type of partners and seeing how we can co-work together. And that's just how we kind of work with a lot of the actual manufacturers of a lot of the parts that we use, and then we do all the final assembly ourselves.
If I had one request for a camera.
Let me get my notes out.
I mean, you probably hear this a lot. I would want a cube-shaped camera.
Sure.
So think like the Panasonic BS1H, the Zcam cameras, Ken Infinity, the Red Komodo, those kind of cameras, because I'm more or less a shoulder rig shooter for a lot of the stuff that I shoot. And I can't put a pocket camera on there because it's too wide and the cables come out the side. So I hope maybe one day.
All I can say is we've heard these comments before, and we always have lots of things in the kitchen, and it's just a matter of how much we can cook in any given day. So,
and also BRAW, I think it's a great format because whether it's true RAW or not, people like it, and I think that's what really counts. Is it useful for people?
That's right. Performance is where a lot of that comes down to, and what people are willing to accept or not is going to vary. But again, it's creating those solutions that give people the options, and that's really where Blackmagic's all about.
You get the benefits of RAW, a lot of the benefits of RAW. It plays back smooth in most systems.
That's
it's really nice to have. I know you have the capability to record BRAW from some cameras in your monitor. Is that correct?
The video assistant, I've lost track of how many, but we have been adding that and working with partnerships to be able to do that as well.
Is there any possibility that one day a camera will, other than Blackmagic camera, will be able to record in BRAW?
It's always a possibility, but it does require quite a bit of work to be done by both parties, and right now it just comes down to, is it just easier to do through the video assist, but everything is possible. It just comes down to what can get done.
I want to ask, if I can, what it takes to build a relationship with Blackmagic to be able to have the BRAW output. Because I know Panasonic does it. I can't remember who else does.
It really comes down to just a lot of work that has to go through corporate lawyers and being able to go through engineering. So it's a complex process, which is why it's just not something that can be turned around.
Because I kind of keep track of those kind of things, because I see it like, for example, the fact that Red has the RF mount and nobody else does besides Canon. It's because I know they have a relationship with Canon that allows them to use that mount. And I think that's also, I'm not sure about this, I don't really know, I'm talking off the top of my head here, but the fact that Canon has their RAW light, I think it's because they have a relationship with Red again that gives them access to that patent through some relationship, some deal there, I don't know.
It always comes down to there's give and take, and that's why for some of our things in Resolve, we can be these great partners to other camera manufacturers, because there's a benefit to both of us to do that. But in other things, maybe the benefit's not quite as much there, or there's other obstacles that are in the way. And unfortunately, it's just one of those things that sometimes where it would be a great idea for a customer, the two companies just can't come together, and sometimes that's just part of the equation.
Too much of a direct competition, maybe you don't want to give them that advantage.
There's all of that, and of course, like, while we want to help and we want to empower users, we also don't don't want to give all of our technology away to other people because there's risk there as well. So it's a
You're a
complicated,
business,
it's a complicated process, but ultimately at the end of the day, we just try to build the best products we can, hope the users can find the great solutions that are in there.